Imagine walking into a silent gym where shouts of encouragement and the roar of falling weights once rang out. At its peak, CrossFit dominated the fitness world with more than 15,000 affiliated boxes in 162 countries, a near-religious global community, and an empire worth millions. Today, that battle-hardened empire is back for sale, formally announced in March 2025 by CEO Don Full, who is looking for a buyer who respects the brand's community essence. The metal door of this box is closed, the iconic logo fades under the sun. What went wrong? Join me as I unravel the epic story of meteoric rise, scandal, and fall of CrossFit, the brand that revolutionized fitness and is now struggling to survive in a market saturated with competitors like F45, High Rocks, and Orange Theory, where community loyalty has been eroded by years of controversies and questionable decisions. The meteoric rise, 2000 to 2018. In the early 2000s, Greg Glassman, a former gymnast dissatisfied with traditional fitness, teamed up with Lauren Janai to found something radical. Glassman, who had created his first CrossFit-style workout at age 16, combining gymnastics with weightlifting, incorporated CrossFit Inc. in 2000 with Janai. In a small garage in Santa Cruz, California, they planted the seed of CrossFit that same year. His countercurrent philosophy consisted of short but brutally intense workouts, combining Olympic lifting, gymnastics, and cardio at maximum intensity. Instead of machines and mirrors typical of conventional gyms, they used functional movements such as squats, pull-ups, burpees, and clean and jerks, measured with stopwatches to emphasize efficiency, maximum effort, and adaptability to the unpredictable. Glassman proclaimed that his methods would forge complete fitness, forcing participants out of their comfort zone and preparing them for the unknown and unknowable, a phrase that became the brand's mantra. The idea sounded far-fetched at first, especially in an era dominated by isolated bodybuilding routines and gentle cardio on treadmills, but it worked spectacularly by appealing to those looking for real, measurable results applicable to everyday life, such as firefighters, police officers, and military personnel who needed functional preparation for real-world scenarios. CrossFit hooked early adopters like a drug. Each WOD, workout of the day, was a different challenge, with new daily goals ranging from high-intensity circuits to tests of pure strength or metabolic endurance. A strong community emerged around shared suffering, where pain became a collective bond that transcended mere exercise. People didn't just get fit, he forged bonds of friendship in the box, encouraging each other to complete one last rep or improve personal times, with post-WOD celebrations that included high fives and talks on paleo-nutrition, another pillar of the CrossFit philosophy. Members called it "my second home," or even a personal church, with rituals such as the 3-2-1 go countdown that generated a sense of belonging comparable to a religion or a cult, fostered by the emphasis on humility, effort, and collective self-improvement. This devotion spread quickly thanks to online publications of free workouts on CrossFit.com, which attracted high-risk professionals such as soldiers and extreme athletes in search of a workout that simulated the chaos of real life. The business model broke schemes. Glassman opted for open membership rather than strict franchises. Anyone could open a box by paying for an affordable license, $1,000 initially, then $2,000 to $3,000 annually, and certifying themselves in one weekend as a Level 1 coach. This decentralized approach allowed for operational freedom, differentiating itself from chains like Planet Fitness with rigid rules and judgment-free environments that contrasted with the raw intensity of CrossFit. The result was an explosion. From 13 affiliates in 2005 to more than 1,700 in 2010, 11,000 in 2010-2015, and exceeding 15,000 in 2018, with a presence in 162 countries and memberships estimated between 2 and 5 million globally. The brand spread like wildfire without the headquarters operating gyms directly, creating a lightweight empire based on community and revenue from licensing, certifications, nearly 50,000 coaches a year at a peak, seminars and merchandise, generating hundreds of millions in annual revenue. CrossFit culture has become a global phenomenon. Its athletes spoke a language of their own. AMRAP, as many rounds as possible, EMOM, every minute on the minute, RX, as prescribed, What's Your Time at Fran, an iconic WOD with thrusters and pull-ups that became a universal benchmark. The boxes were the third place to socialize, compete, and transform, attracting a diversity of profiles from office workers to elite athletes. Uncomfortable people in conventional gyms found an inclusive and competitive yet friendly environment, where climbing allowed beginners to join without intimidation. Stories of change abounded. Grandmothers learning barbell squats, soldiers regaining post-combat shape, or stressed professionals finding catharsis in extreme workouts like Murph, a tribute to a fallen Navy SEAL. CrossFit not only improved the physique, it fostered mental and social resilience, with local events such as internal competitions, paleo barbecues, and 30-day challenges strengthening bonds and creating an ecosystem of mutual support. The culminating one was the leap to the global stage. In 2011, they signed a deal with Reebok for $150 million over 10 years, catapulting CrossFit into the mainstream. The CrossFit Games, launched in 2007 on a California ranch with just 70 competitors, were televised on ESPN, drawing millions of viewers who watched athletes perform feats such as monster lifts, rope climbs, and extreme endurance events. Reebok brought validation. CrossFit went from underground counterculture to mainstream fashion, with special editions of nano and apparel sneakers selling en masse. Brands like Rogue Fitness joined as official suppliers, prizes grew to six figures. Winner took home $300,000 plus, and the annual Open, an online competition open to anyone, attracted a record 415,000 registrants in 2018, making it the largest participatory sporting event in the world. By that year, CrossFit had it all. Thousands of affiliates, millions of devotees, elite sponsors, media presence in documentaries such as Fittest on Earth, and a growth that seemed unstoppable. However, cracks appeared on the horizon, from internal criticism about injuries to external pressures that would test their resilience and reveal vulnerabilities in their decentralized model. The first dark clouds, 2018 to 2020. By 2018, CrossFit was facing serious challenges behind its invincible image. One was his reputation for risk. Critics, including sports doctors and former participants, warned of dangers without proper supervision. Injuries such as dislocated shoulders, back problems, tendinitis, or rhabdomyolysis, a potentially fatal syndrome from muscle overexertion that releases toxic proteins into the bloodstream. Studies showed injury rates between 2.4 and 3.1 per 1,000 hours, comparable to sports such as Olympic weightlifting, 2.5 to 3.3, or running, 2.5 to 12.1, with shoulders, 25%, lower back, 14.3%, and knees, 13.1%, as common areas, more frequent in men and novices. The perception persisted, fueled by viral stories on forums like Reddit and lawsuits, such as one in 2005 for rhabdomyolysis that resulted in a $300,000 prize. The affiliation model allowed boxes to be opened with minimal preparation, a weekend course, opening doors to inexperienced instructors who pushed limits without proper technique, especially in high-intensity WODs such as Cindy or Grace. HQ did not control the daily quality, and bad practices in some gyms, such as ignoring climbing for beginners, brought the brand into disrepute. CrossFit emphasized scaling and technique in certifications, but the controversial use of Uncle Rhabdo, a cartoonish clown with rhabdomyolysis in his journal, drew criticism for casual risk-taking, exacerbating the dangerous cult narrative. Competition tightened in the functional fitness niche, F45, with its 45-minute HIIT classes on circuits with music and screens, Orange Theory with heart monitors for optimal burn zones, and Camp Gladiator with outdoor boot camps, offering soft versions perceived as safer, more accessible, and less intimidating to the general public. Traditional gyms like Equinox launched HIIT classes to retain customers, while apps like Peloton democratized home training. CrossFit was no longer unique. Imitators filled the market, attracting those who wanted intensity without the glorified pain of CrossFit. Saturation was another problem. In dense areas like large cities, boxes competed with each other, leading to closures for lack of members or cannibalization, where passionate ex-members opened their own gyms and took clientele, diluting local loyalty. In 2016, one closure was already reported for every 2 openings, a sign of an inflating bubble. Then came the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Boxes closed due to global quarantines. About 20% closed permanently, 25% in the US, with losses estimated in the millions from rents without income. Group workouts, the essence of CrossFit, became impossible under social restrictions. Many pivoted to Zoom for virtual classes, at-home WOD with minimal equipment, or weight rental. But the collective energy, real-time coaching correction, and motivating environment were lacking. Memberships fell by as much as 50% in some boxes. Owners, often passionate entrepreneurs without financial reserves, suffered emotional and economic bankruptcies. CrossFit was reeling from this unpredictable external factor, with the 2020 Open adapted to a remote format but losing the community hype. Still, the worst thing was not the virus, but an internal scandal that would detonate the greatest reputation crisis, exposing the fissures in the brand's leadership and culture. Crisis of Leadership, 2020. In 2020, after the pandemic, the crisis came because of the founder. Greg Glassman, known for his abrasive candor and controversial statements, made a fatal mistake in June, during the post-murder Black Lives Matter movement of George Floyd. He posted, "It's Floyd 19, mocking an Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation publication on racism as a public health issue, and added derogatory comments on an internal call. The tweet exploded on social media. CrossFit was canceled in a matter of hours, with hashtags such as #BoycottCrossFit trending. Outrage from coaches, athletes, and owners grew rapidly, with thousands sharing stories of internal discrimination. Fierce reaction. Hundreds of gyms disaffiliated, almost 1,000, 7% of affiliates, repudiating the comments and removing the logo from their facades in solidarity. Elite athletes such as Rich Froning, 4-time champion, Katrin Davidsdottir, and Noah Olsen expressed public disappointment and threatened to boycott the games if there were no drastic changes, joining voices such as Tia Claire Toomey. Sponsors reacted. Reebok broke ties immediately, not renewing its contract that expired in 2020 and condemning racism. Other companies such as Rogue Fitness, equipment supplier, and Nike, athlete sponsor, distanced themselves with statements, cutting key financial ties. CrossFit was isolated from its community base, stars, and business partners, losing millions in potential revenue. Internally, chaos. A Glassman. Zoom call with affiliates worsened with conspiracy theories about COVID and downplaying systemic racism, leaving participants stunned. Unsustainable pressure. He stepped down as CEO on June 9th. He sold the company weeks later to Eric Rosa and Berkshire Partners for an undisclosed amount, estimated at $200 to $300 million. CrossFit was facing an existential crisis. Would it survive without its controversial founder, whose vision was the soul of the brand? The new leadership inherited ruins, with affiliates falling to 9,400 in early 2021 and a community divided between loyalists and defectors. The recovery attempt, 2021 to 2022. After Glassman, Eric Rosa, a tech entrepreneur, CrossFit fan, and owner of a box in Colorado, bought the company with Berkshire Partners in 2020. Rosa took over as CEO in July, humbly presenting himself in videos and open letters, promising to reconnect with authentic values like inclusion and transparency, and acknowledging past mistakes. First year, intensive reconstruction, statements condemning racism, forming a diversity and inclusion council with outside experts, and inviting defecting affiliates to return with discounts. They repaired trust with virtual open forums, community surveys, and weekly updates from HQ. With the pandemic gradually easing thanks to vaccines, some returned. Affiliates rose to around 10,800 paying and 12,500 total in early 2022, with strong growth in Europe, Spain, Germany, offsetting losses in the US. In 2021, games were held in a hybrid format, focusing on sport and positive narrative of resilience with strict COVID protocols. Strategic alliances strengthened, team discounts with Rogue, launch of CrossFit Affiliate Partner Network for digital marketing, financial management, and free programming. In July 2021, Jason Dunlop was named president, bringing experience from Nike to professionalize operations. CrossFit survived against the odds, with new Level 2 certifications mandatory to improve quality. Changes continued. Rosa left CEO in February 2022 after stabilizing, moving to the board of directors. In August, Don Fall took office. Ex-Marine with experience at Facebook, Google, and Pinterest, focused on tech for apps and data. He promised sustainable growth, support affiliates with tools like the CrossFit app for tracking, and learning from past glories and recent mistakes. But challenges lurked, including post-pandemic economic pressures and unexpected tragedies that would test the new era. More challenges and tragedy, 2023 to 2024. Under Fall, crucial evidence emerged. By the end of 2023, quota increase from $3,000, fixed since 2011, to $4,500 per year in 2024, justified by reinvestment in improvements such as free programming, CrossFit Affiliate Programming, or CAP, from 2023, and educational resources. Seen as a collection by some, especially small boxes with tight post-inflation margins and rising equipment costs. Debate on networks such as Reddit showed division. Owners supported if it brought value, but dozens did not renew, citing betrayal of Glassman's original accessibility. The worst? Summer 2024, Games in Fort Worth, Texas. Lazar Jukic, a 28-year-old Serbian athlete and rising star with multiple victories in European competitions, drowned on August 8th in the inaugural 800-meter swim at Marine Creek Lake under extreme heat of 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius. He disappeared 100 meters from the finish line during the live stream. Divers found him an hour later, official cause, accidental drowning. First death in Games. Global consternation, safety concerns. Insufficient lifeguards, only paddleboarders without immediate diving. Inadequate protocols. Ignored warnings from previous years about open swims. Eyewitnesses reported seeing no timely rescue attempts, and his brother Luka Dukic criticized the lack of action. Handling worsened. They suspended day one, continued the next with a brief tribute, citing family wishes. Wrong, according to later family. Athletes such as Laura Horvath, defending champion, Jeffrey Adler, Annie Thorisdottir, Pat Vellner, Chandler Smith, and Brent Fikowski withdrew or boycotted the 2025 season in protest, demanding changes. PFAA, Professional Fitness Athletes Association, demanded transparency, an independent committee, and the dismissal of Dave Castro, director of sports since 2007. HQ investigated with third parties, revealing flaws in planning and response, but did not initially publish full details. It created its own security council, suspended swimming in open water indefinitely, and kept Castro seen as insufficient. Consequences: 1,400 plus affiliates separated in 2024 due to indignation and lack of trust. Open 2025 fell 32%, from approximately 343,000 in 2024 to 234,000, the lowest figure since 2014. Paying affiliates fell to approximately 9,900 in early 2025. Standalone boxes or migrated to alternatives. Beloved methodology, but relationship with broken brand. Recovery depended on drastic change, leading to the decision to sell. Second sale in 5 years, 2025. In March 2025, CrossFit announced a sale, the second in 5 years. Berkshire Partners, owners since 2020, withdrew in the face of decline. Affiliates from approximately 14,000 in 2023 to 11,500 to 12,000 in early 2024-2025. Low revenues approximately $100 million annually. Controversies and growing competition. Falls Mail. They would look for a fresh-minded, community-connected owner, hiring Moelis and Company for formal processing. Rumors abounded. B Sport, a Swiss holding company with Saudi ties, owner of fitness apps, private funds such as TPG with Rory McIlroy, or even internal figures such as Rich Froning as a potential CEO. By July 2025, reports indicated completed sales, although scarce details. Speculation about integration with digital platforms or global expansion. Interested people gave respite, but cynicism abounded. Who buys a business in decline with a history of drama and mass disaffiliations? With approximately 9,900 loyalists, huge legacy, and the revenue from licenses, certifications, and games, which in 2025 moved to Albany, New York with security changes, it still has value. The new owner will face challenges: reconciling a fragmented community, prioritizing security, rebuilding trust, and competing with rivals like Hyrox. 2025 marks a turning point. Future depends on buyer. Resurrection with focus on affiliates and original values, or continuation of decline? Let us reflect on lessons from this tumultuous trajectory. Lessons from failure. History of CrossFit is a case study for entrepreneurs, leaders, and fans. Key lessons. Don't melt brand into polarizing figure. It flourished because of Glassman's rebellious vision, but it almost died because of his actions in 2020, which alienated thousands. Founder-dependent companies are exposed to human error, especially in the age of social media where a tweet can destroy reputations. Lesson: build institutions that transcend individuals, with socially responsible leaders, adaptable to changing times, and with accountability mechanisms such as independent boards. Rapid growth versus quality control. Accelerated expansion gave global reach, but inconsistency in the pits led to injuries, negative perceptions, and saturation. Philosophy of independence fostered local innovation, but prevented addressing systemic problems such as ill-prepared coaches or unequal standards. Lesson: balance expansion with quality safeguards, such as more rigorous certifications, e.g., Level 2 mandatory from 2024, and periodic audits for sustainability in franchises or affiliations. Coherent community-centered leadership. Changes in leaders, from Glassman to Rosa to Foll, generated uncertainty and disconnected decisions. Fee hikes without clear communication or poor crisis management, e.g., Jukic's death, made it feel that HQ prioritized profit over security and values. In community brands, losing trust is fatal, as evidenced by massive affiliations. Lesson: prioritizes empathic communication, coherence, and grassroots needs. Genuine listening through surveys and forums makes you resilient to crises, and focus on empathy during tragedies. Additionally, it learns from externalities. Pandemics and scandals amplify vulnerabilities, so it diversifies revenue, e.g., digital, and cultivates cultural resilience. Can it reinvent itself? Cautiously optimistic. Method, functional training, camaraderie, lives in millions, regardless of owner. The new owner could reconnect by prioritizing safety, e.g., independent post-Jukic committee, advanced coaching training, bridging with dropouts through incentives, and passion over quick profit. If not, the market evolves without it, with alternatives such as Hyrox gaining ground in hybrid events. Final reflection and call to action. Here we are in front of a closed box, walls with faded graffiti. Community, sacrifice, pain equals reward. Every crack tells a story of home found, of shared sweat that forged strong bodies and unbreakable bonds, of mornings at 6 a.m. with intense, life-changing WODs. It hurts to see closed doors, knowing that at their peak they vibrated with life, laughter, and shouts of victory after a PR, personal record. CrossFit changed how the world trains, created unsung heroes like Froning and Toomey, and taught that we are all stronger than we believed, pushing physical and mental limits. But he warns, no invincible institution if it forgets values or people, as in tragedies of 2024 and Sale 2025. Lost? Maybe not. Espiritu lives on in daily WODs, in independent boxes that maintain essence without an official logo, and in communities that prioritize fitness over corporations. Can it be saved and reborn under a new owner? What would you do differently at command, such as implementing strict safety protocols or lowering quotas? Hope for a fallen giant or time for something new like mergers with tech? Comment in the comments. Saga teaches about business, community, and humility. Future in the air, but legacy endures in every 3, 2, 1 time at the end of an unforgettable WOD. See you, community.